Greetings, YouTube. Have you ever heard the phrase that truth is stranger than fiction? Because the more I read posts and screenshots and details, whether or not they're even verified on this latest drama of Alliance War, the more I just think somebody has to get a script together. Somebody has to get a screenplay together, and they have to come up with the soap opera. Because if it's true in any capacity, and I'm not saying this is true because, again, I don't have multiple sources, but I think the concept is fascinating, even if it's made up. It's the equivalent right now of two different people in two different marriages sleeping with the same mistress, and then that mistress gets paid to literally screw over another person that they're sleeping with. This is, of course, the analogy to someone piloting for two of the same alliances and having login information to both. Now, that one is pretty hard to believe for me personally, but again, I think it's a fascinating concept for a screenplay. There's no doubt about that. Something that makes more sense, and it's another theory out there, is that you had people who left the alliance that still had logins from some of the alliance members and then just chose to log in for those people and basically mess up their accounts. We did learn a valuable lesson from this, a couple lessons really. One of them is that if for some reason someone kicks you and it is an accident and the alliance really, really wants you and doesn't want to replace you and they bring you right back into the alliance war and the alliance war has not ended, you can still move. So that's pretty cool. I think that's valuable information for the community. But regardless, this points to a couple of bigger issues, even if we're not ever going to be sure exactly what happened from this truly crazy soap opera of an alliance war thread. The first is that when people say, like, be really careful about who you share your login information with, that's 100% true. And if you have any suspicion that someone has your login without you knowing about it, just change your password, right? It's very easy to do. I've done it several times to protect myself. Thankfully, my account's never been hacked, knock on anything that's wood. And you just have to log out of MCOC, and from the login screen, you have to say you forgot your password, and then they will send the email that corresponds with your account, a password reset code. You will log in with that code and you will update your password. Even if you've never shared your login with anyone, it is still good from time to time to know how to reset your password just to be safe. You can never be too careful. It is 2018 after all. But one of the other lessons that I just want to talk about, and this isn't something that I brag about with any sense of ethics, because in fact today is the first time that I am teaching for this semester. I am sitting in my office. I know you can't see me. I'm about half an hour away from the first lecture of the semester, and I always like to talk about ethics because I'm a journalism professor. That's what I do in quote-unquote real life. And so ethics is something that should certainly be at the forefront of any journalistic integrity that anyone has when reporting anything. So that's also why I try not to run wild with speculation on these kind of threads, because I've only got this one source, and I believe you need at least three confirmed primary sources, I should say, to really deem any story as credible. And even then, there's still going to be some hint of things that you've just left out because you've only interviewed 3 people. But what I'm seeing from people, I woke up to a slew of messages on the Line app because people know how to get a hold of me. It's very easy if you search Prof. Huff. And they messaged me that they wanted me to create a video in which I basically state in a public thread that Kabam needs to take down both of these alliances. And even though the ethics behind that concept make sense, even though the ethics are strong, here's why that would never happen. Okay, first and foremost, these alliances keep the lights on at the company for Kabam. And so they're not going to do anything that actually jeopardizes the ability for them to continue to make the kind of money that they're used to making off of these top-tier, master, top-ranked alliances. But, you know, the other thing is that, and this is something that really fascinates me from an ethics perspective, and it's something I'm actually going to talk about in my second class of the day, Advanced Multimedia Reporting. are you going to feel bad about breaking a rule that doesn't exist? See, the piloting has gotten to be so extreme from everything I've read that there are certain undetectable ways that people can go around the Kabam servers or however they detect piloting that isn't technically illegal because there's nothing in the statutes of the game or of the company that state it. This really reminds me of the late 90s and early 2000s of the sport of baseball, where you had people like Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and then eventually, allegedly, Barry Bonds up on steroids, but everybody who I talked to that was hardcore baseball fans didn't care because their ethical argument was, look, everyone's doing it. If you want to win, you have to cheat. Everyone's on steroids. That's why they're on steroids. So right now I'm reading in these comments of this thread people who are easily dismissing this as a big deal because they're saying, look, we know that Kabam has taken a stance on piloting, but if you know how to pilot well, aka if you know how to cheat correctly, you still know how to get around this fairly easily, and you know that everyone ahead of you in these master ranks especially, but probably even in a lot of the platinum alliances, are doing this, so you feel pressured to do this as well. My takeaway is usually this, and it's always the same thing. Where does your life have to be, quality-wise, if you are spending thousands of dollars a week on a mobile video game? And I've always believed, and maybe this is me being too optimistic, right? Too glass half empty, but actually half full, I should say, versus half empty. I actually wouldn't want to get to the top of anything cheating because I care about something that's earned. I don't want to be a part of the number one anything in which it's basically fool's gold. You think that someone has skill that they don't have, but the reputation that they care about dictates that they want to have the illusion that they are the best player of this game when really they're paying somebody who they never met on an iPad that they bought that doesn't have an IP address that's traceable to log in for them for 7 fights every 3 days. As crazy as that sounds, I know people are saying it's happening. And yes, we still have my favorite 2 words from this whole post: no drama. No drama. Yeah, certainly no drama. But I fail to see why that's rewarding for someone. Why, even if you are a multi-billionaire and you could spend thousands of dollars a day on anything and never worry about running out of money, I just don't see from a personal pride standpoint how not actually fighting your own battles, but then claiming to have that prestige in a top-tier alliance does anything. That's also why I'm proud to say I'm part of a Gold 1 alliance that, though maybe I have the skill to do better, I probably don't. And it's not worth trying to convince you, despite the fact that I have a YouTube channel, that I am a better fighter than I am. I just, verification purposes and certainly transparency dictate that I don't want to give you, the viewer, any idea that I think I'm much better than I am. This is still a hobby to me. It's something that I really find enjoyable. I love to take a break from grading, and even doing arena fights are relaxing to me, which I know sounds like the making of a future serial killer. Hopefully it's not. But, regardless, I still enjoy just the mindless numbing of basically destroying competition with very low stakes. But this is the opposite of low stakes, right? This is very, very high stakes in which we are seeing repercussions. But for those of you who've got your torches out and you say both of these alliances should go down, I realize why you're saying this. Are they cheating? If any of this is true, absolutely. But you must understand that these are also the people that keep ads from appearing on the screen whenever you're in between alliance fights, or certainly arena fights, like so many other free-to-play games start out. And so there is some justification, I suppose, to saying that the money that's funneled through cheating helps keep the game clean and a more enjoyable experience for the average player, especially the average free-to-play player. That is not in any way justifying the cheating, but that's certainly the counter-argument that people have used several times in similar videos. I just want to say, if you've gotten to a point in your life where you have to spend thousands of dollars paying some random person to log in for you, your life really needs to take a serious examination. And if you've also gotten to the point where you've shared your account information so many times that you can't even say for certain who logged in for you and kicked you out of an alliance or kicked others out of alliance as you, then what? I mean, that blows my mind as much as anything else. But then again, I've never been at the top of this game. I know the pressure must be really tough, and you don't want to lose that top spot. And there's a lot of trash talking going on between alliances. But, regardless, it really is something that is the case, that truth is stranger than fiction. And this is probably, God willing, the last video I make over this specific thread. There might be some news that breaks where people say, now you got to respond to this. No, this is it. If there is something else that happens that's a separate issue, that's one thing. But for this specific issue, this will be the last video I create on this. I want the takeaways to be as follows from this video. 1, don't ever be somebody that gets to a point in life where they have to cheat and spend thousands of dollars a week to pretend that they're good at something. 2, if you're in that position and you don't care ethically, not a lot's going to happen to you from the company that is responsible, because they want your thousands of dollars per week and don't want to cut off that cash source. And 3, if you're not somebody that has to worry about that, but other people have your login, I don't care if it's just friends that you're in alliance with that have it just in case of emergencies, always consider changing your password, because you don't want to ever be in a position where your account can be compromised. I can't tell you how many people have messaged me saying, Prof, please help me. I don't know what to do. Someone logged into my account and sold all of my 4 stars and 3 stars and 2 stars, and I just have my 5 stars left. What do I do? And at this point, there's not a lot you can do. You can tell Kabam, but they have no responsibility given the terms of conditions for them to restore your account, because they can say, well, no one else should have had your account login. So that's a very important reminder, if nothing else, about this video. Well, thanks for watching, YouTube. I am going to leave this video the same way that I left part 1, which I posted about 12 hours ago. And that is that in life, you want to follow ISO-8 Anonymous's goal that is ironically not followed in this video, and try to keep out the no drama.